people need to look into the linkages between the current Nigerian government and the Islamic Republic of Iran. I was a politician for 7 years, Pierce, and I can tell when someone is lying and avoiding the truth. That's exactly what this foreign minister is doing, and shame on him for lying.
Foreign Minister, your response to that?
With all due respect to the lady, I'm sorry, I forget her name. She has already exposed her ignorance and lack of knowledge about Nigeria, and it's easy for her to sit thousands of miles away and play games with people's lives. These are real.
I'm not the one playing games with people's lives. 7,000 Christians have been murdered in Nigeria. 7,000 Christians have been murdered in Nigeria. Who's playing games with people's lives?
Does not even know whether Nigeria has a president or a prime minister. You can see how she's waffling, she's stumbling. But this is typical of.
I think you're showing your own ignorance. The fact that you're not able to actually counter what I'm saying, and instead you're going after these things that are irrelevant, that just shows how ignorant you are.
Rattling. Trade in saber rattling. It is typical. You can see she's exposing herself. She doesn't even know the country that she's trying to start a crusade on, and drawing comparisons with Gaza. It's clear what she's trying to do. We have a constitution that has, go and read my constitution before you even try to have a discussion with me. Look up sections 10, 38 and 42 of our constitution. There is federal character enshrined.
I perform self-pride warrior because the Islamic are controlling the government. Let me tell you, there's a genocide in Nigeria.
Until recently, just over a month ago, HBO's Bill Maher said this.
If you don't know what's going on in Nigeria, your media sources suck. You are in a bubble. And again, I'm not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They've killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burned 18,000 churches. This is so much more. These are their Islamists, Boko Haram. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this?
Many prominent.
This is a disgrace. This is a foreign minister, Mohammed Tuggar, foreign minister. This is the interview of foreign minister with Pierce Morgan that have been causing a lot of problems. So annoying what your foreign minister says. Shame. In fact, this is a disgrace. He grieved. To an extent, they are now insulting Nigeria, insulting you on a national TV, on interview because of your lies. I want you to please take your time, listen to what your foreign minister said on this interview. No wonder the interview has been causing, even before they released this episode, this man has been shaking. The interview has been causing a lot of trouble. They've been problem before they release it. Causing. No wonder what you said. You were scared that they were going to twist it or edit it to some whatever. Now, just take your time, listen, and leave your honest opinion. Tell us, what do you think? This is foreign minister without information about what is happening in his country. It is a shame unto this minister. Just take your time, watch the video. We'll come back and talk about it.
Figures are now raising the issue. Senator Ted Cruz wrote since 2009, over 50,000 Christians in Nigeria have been massacred. It's a result of decisions made by specific people in specific places at specific times. The United States knows who those people are. A series of stories have followed on major US networks, including Fox, whose interviews on the subject were said to have angered President Trump. The US leader is now threatening Nigeria with, in his words, sweet military action, choosing not to rule out both airstrikes and boots on the ground. He's also threatening to withhold more than $1 billion in US aid. Just this weekend, government abducted 25 girls from a high school in Nigeria. Boko Haram is being blamed. Understandably, I wanted to find out more about all of this. I expected the Nigerian government to be addressing the situation with urgency and invited the Nigerian Foreign Minister, Yusuf Tuggar, to appear on the show. There was a bit of a bad line, but I'm sure that you and many in the White House will find what followed pretty extraordinary. Well, joining me now is the Nigerian Foreign Minister, Ambassador Yusuf Tuggar. Welcome to you, Foreign Minister. I appreciate you joining us, Uncensored.
Thank you for having me, Pierce.
So a simple question. If somewhere between 50 and 100,000 Christians have been murdered in Nigeria since 2009, depending on which bit of data you want to take up, and 18,000 Christian churches have been destroyed, why isn't it, as some people are claiming, a genocide against Christians in Nigeria?
But to begin with, those figures are completely and totally inaccurate and false. And many in the media have examined them, they've fact-checked them, so they come from Inter-Society and Open Doors, and they've been shown to be totally inaccurate. What we have in Nigeria is a multi-ethnic, multi-tribal, multi-religious country of 230 million people. Our nation-building project is not an easy one. We have suffered from the effects of things that we have no control over, exogenous factors such as the breaking up of the Libyan state, the killing of Gaddafi, the proliferation of weapons and fighters that have cascaded down to the northern fringes of Nigeria and beyond, and have affected the entire region. The failure of the EU Sahel strategy over the years. These are all things that we are suffering the effects of. And we do have Boko Haram in the Lake Chad region that affects not just Nigeria, but 3 other countries, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon, that we've been contending with through the multinational joint task force that allows the troops of the countries in the region to pursue the terrorists. 50,000 insurgents and people that were caught in the region of the insurgency having surrendered, and we were in the course of processing them, and some were being rehabilitated, others were being processed through the legal system when Niger had to pull out because of the failure of the EU Sahel strategy and the military coup that was experienced in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali.
Look, you've made it clear that you believe these numbers are wildly exaggerated. The International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law is a non-governmental organisation that monitors and tracks human rights abuses across Nigeria. In its report in August, it said jihadist groups, including Boko Haram and ISIS in Nigeria, had killed over 100,000 Christians in the last 16 years. It also noted that 60,000 moderate Muslims have been killed in that period too. Now, I guess my obvious question to you is, if it's not 100,000, then how many Christians have been murdered since 2009? And if it's not 18,000 Christian churches that have been destroyed, how many is it?
We in Nigeria have Christians, we have Muslims, we have atheists, we have animists, and when we're counting death tolls, we don't necessarily go by religion, and quite often it's difficult to even identify what religion an individual that has just lost their lives belongs to. And what we are concerned about is that they are Nigerians first and foremost. And we've seen these sort of agitations by faith-based organizations that is a prelude to the breaking up, to the dismemberment of countries. We've seen it in Sudan. We know this playbook. It's happened. There were agitations to create South Sudan, which was expected to be a predominantly Christian country, separate from North Sudan, which is meant to be a Muslim country. Now we have a situation where there's fighting, continuous fighting in South Sudan. There's another round about to kick off. The same thing in the North Sudan, where
but let me interrupt.
Muslim fighting each other. So we don't want to be the next Sudan. We will not allow ourselves to be the next Sudan.
No, I understand
that. Where are the faith-based groups that were agitating for Sudan to be dismembered? They're no longer there to fix Sudan. Not North, not South. It's Nigeria as a member of the Peace Council of the African
Let me jump in if I may.
With heavy lifting.
Foreign Minister, if I may, I'd like to jump in if I may, because you do seem to be avoiding my questions. You know, you don't seem to know how many Christians have been murdered, which I find surprising.
I'm not.
Well, you haven't given me any. You've told me you don't know. Well, just with respect, sir, you have not given.
Nigerians. So
no, I know what you said. I understand.
Same as those that.
But what you're saying, if you could let me speak, what you're saying is that you dispute the numbers of Christians that have been reported to have been killed, but you have no idea how many Christians have been killed. What we surely can agree on is how many Christian churches have been destroyed. Do you know how many?
Yes, I do. Over the last 2 years, there have been 52 churches, depending on which region, again, you are referring to, because there are different regions in Nigeria, and there are, I can give you the figures right here now. So,
well, how many since 2009?
Since 2009, since the last 5 years, the attacks, not destroyed, attacks on churches, 102. So we're not hiding any figures, you see. It's important to understand this. Same way that there are mosques that are destroyed. I don't even have to mention that. Nigeria is configured in such a way that you have Muslim and Christian populations all across the country. There are, of course, states out of the 36 states that we have that have a high concentration of Christians, the same way that there are states where you have a high concentration of Muslims. Take, for example, the more recent attacks that have brought about an intensifying of this false narrative that there's some persecution, or as the likes of Bilma even go as far as to say, a genocide. the ground
Well, it's
zero
actually
for
more
that
than Bill
would be
Maher.
Benue State.
If I may jump in again. If I may play you. No, I understand. If I may jump in, sorry.
No, if I can just finish this. Sorry. The governor of Benue State happens to be a man of the cloth. He's a reverend father. He's a Catholic. So you can see how it is impossible for him to be concealing what is happening. He would be screaming at the top of his voice if indeed there was some genocide or if there was some specific calculated targeting of Muslims, of Christians. But he knows there isn't, and that is why he is not doing so.
But let me play you a clip from President Donald Trump about this.
If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria. We're going to do things to Nigeria that Nigeria is not going to be happy about and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns a-blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible, horrible atrocities. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians. These are cherished people. These are great people. Leave them alone. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast before it's too late. If they don't, there's going to be hell to pay.
So what is your message to President Trump, who obviously completely disagrees with you?
My message is that we have the utmost respect for the United States of America. We have, by extension, the utmost respect for its president, President Trump. It's unfortunate that President Trump has been misinformed by those that trade in generalized labelings. And unfortunately, it has resulted in this statement. We urge that the engagement that is ongoing continues so that we will provide more information and clarity. We are not the ground for either a jihad nor a crusade. Nigerians have lived in peace, relative peace with each other for a very, very long period of time. We are the people that populate the confluence of the rivers Niger and Benue, and we will continue to do so. And it's important to be mindful of the complexity of the Nigerian state. It is a multi-diverse state in so many regards. And it is an ally of the US because we've worked successfully together in the past. And we actually appreciate what President Trump has done in the past when other subsequent US administrations would not sell Tucano jet fighters to us, planes, aircraft to us. President Trump acquiesced to that. Some of the things that we're experiencing at the moment have a direct linkage to the application of the Leahy Law to countries like Nigeria, where they were deprived of weapons to maintain peace at home and help also maintain peace in the region. This is why we continue to experience terrorism in the region, in the Sahel region, whereas in the past, when we worked successfully together with the US, you could see what Nigeria was able to achieve. We resettled Sierra Leone, we resettled Liberia successfully, and our multinational joint task force
Minister, I'm interrupting you.
In the fight against terrorism. Until
Minister, just stay there for a moment, if you will, because joining me now is the former Canadian MP Goldie Gamari, host of the Goldie Show, who has spoken out frequently at what she says is a genocide against Christians in Nigeria. Goldie Gamari, welcome to Uncensored. What is your response to the Foreign Minister of Nigeria, who says there is no genocide? The numbers of those who've been killed, number of churches attacked, has been wildly exaggerated.
Well, first of all, Pierce, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. Pierce, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it probably is a duck. There is a reason that we're seeing these Islamic militants going around and yelling Allahu Akbar. That's not by coincidence. There's a reason that they are attacking Christians on Christmas Eve. Let's not forget that back in 2014, almost 300 Christian schoolgirls were kidnapped by these Islamic militants. 80 of them, their whereabouts are still unknown. Pierce, what's happening in Nigeria is jihad. It's the exact same thing that happened on October 7 by Islamists when they broke into Israel and murdered Jews yelling Allahu Akbar. It's the exact same thing that ISIS terrorists did to the Yazidis in Iraq. It's the exact same thing that happened in Lebanon. Here's the only difference between what's happening today in Nigeria versus what happened 1,400 years ago when the Muslim Arab invaders came to Persia is that back then people did not have cameras, but today they do. It is 100% jihad. We've seen it before. This is how the Islamist playbook always happens.
Well, I don't think that the foreign minister was denying that bad things have been happening. He's just denying that it constitutes a genocide and that the numbers of reported deaths
government is a part of it.
Of murders of Christians.
I think his government is complicit. Right now, you have an Right now you have an Islamist government in Nigeria. One of the things that he didn't mention to you is that typically it's been a constitutional convention in Nigeria that if the prime minister is Muslim, then if the president is Muslim, then the vice president is Christian. If the president is Christian, then the vice president is Muslim. This is intended to have a proper representation of the Nigerian population. Right now you have a Muslim president, and then they decided to choose a Muslim vice president, and so there is actually no Christian representation in the Islamist government. By the way, this is a government that is working closely behind the scenes with the Islamic Republic of Iran. You should ask the foreign minister why Nigerian school children are holding pictures of the Ayatollah, who is a brutal dictator and is murdering my people in Iran. People need to look into the linkages between the current Nigerian government and the Islamic Republic of Iran. I was a politician for 7 years, Pierce, and I can tell when someone is lying and avoiding the truth. That's exactly what this foreign minister is doing, and shame on him for lying.
Foreign Minister, your response to that?
With all due respect to the lady, I'm sorry, I forget her name. She has already exposed her ignorance and lack of knowledge about Nigeria, and it's easy for her to sit thousands of miles away and play games with people's lives. These are real.
I'm not the one playing games with people's lives. 7,000 Christians have been murdered in Nigeria. 7,000 Christians have been murdered in Nigeria. Who's playing games with people's lives?
Does not even know whether Nigeria has a president or a prime minister. You can see how she's waffling, she's stumbling. But this is typical of.
I think you're showing your own ignorance. The fact that you're not able to actually counter what I'm saying, and instead you're going after these things that are irrelevant, that just shows how ignorant you are.
Saber rattling, trade in saber rattling. It is typical. You can see she's exposing herself. She doesn't even know the country that she's trying to start a crusade on, and drawing comparisons with Gaza. You know, it's clear what she's trying to do. We have a constitution that has, go and read my constitution before you even try to have a discussion with me. Look up sections 10, 38, and 42 of our constitution. There is federal character enshrined in our constitution. It's part and parcel of it. And the priority is the region where you come from, because we don't identify ourselves as Muslims and Christians in Nigeria. We identify ourselves from regions, geopolitical regions, place where we come from.
But do you accept? All right, Foreign Minister. Foreign Minister, let me jump in. Let me jump in. Foreign Minister. Foreign Minister. Do you? Foreign Minister, if I may. Foreign Minister, if I may. Foreign Minister, do you accept that there is a big problem? You know, we can quibble over precise numbers, but you've already said by your own numbers, over 100 Christian churches have been attacked. You won't commit to how many Christians have been killed. I think you're slightly hiding behind the fact you don't know what all their religion was, but you must know how many people have been killed.
I can give you figures. I can give you figures. You did not ask me. I can give you figures of those that lost their lives
How many Christians have been murdered in Nigeria since 2009?
Since over the last 5 years, I can categorically tell you that 177 have been killed. And it does not mean that the killing.
But you said to me. You said to me earlier. You said to me earlier you did. Yeah, but hang on. Foreign Minister, with respect.
Muslims. They are not necessarily Muslims.
Foreign Minister.
To understand that.
Foreign Minister, with respect, earlier when I asked you that question, you said you didn't know the number because many of the people who've been killed, you didn't know what religion they were. So which is it?
So I am telling you, number killed when churches were attacked. I told you the number of the churches that were attacked.
Now, how many Christians? You misunderstood my question. How many? I want to know. Yes, but Foreign Minister, you have had United States senators like Ted Cruz saying publicly that at least 50,000 Christians have been murdered since 2009. If you're saying that number is wildly exaggerated, what is the number?
I keep giving you the numbers, but clearly, you are not.
You're not. You're giving me the numbers in the last 5 years.
Accept the numbers or even listen to what I'm saying. 102, 177, number injured 98, number abducted 7. Okay, so we are not hiding any facts. But as I said, we don't go about trying to identify a Nigerian's faith when they've lost their lives. That is. But
do you condemn? Foreign Minister, do you condemn the attacks and the murder on Christians by Islamist groups in Nigeria?
Absolutely, 100%. I lost my father-in-law to an attack by an Islamic terrorist group, Boko Haram. So I myself, I'm a victim. I've lost family members to attacks, and they were Muslims. But it doesn't matter whether they're Muslim or Christian, because their aim is to kill, to maim, so that they would achieve their objectives. And the number one enemy of Boko Haram is not a Christian. It is a Muslim who does not subscribe to their own brand of Islam.
Okay, I mean, Goldie Gamari, let me bring you back in there. I mean, there's no doubt that tens of thousands of moderate Muslims have also been murdered by Islamists. We can argue, till the cows come home, frankly, about what the exact numbers are, but clearly a lot of Christian churches have been attacked. So have a lot of mosques, where it is believed that the people who are, observing their faith there are too moderate for the Islamists. So it seems like the Islamist groups like Boko Haram, like ISIS, are targeting pretty much anybody that they don't agree with, be that moderate Muslims or Christians. Is this not, as the foreign minister is putting forward, a case of it's not just Christians being targeted and persecuted, it's also moderate Muslims, and that there's a general wider problem with Islamist terrorism?
Well, there's definitely a problem with Islamist terrorism, but just because Muslims are being murdered, it does not negate the fact that there is a targeted ethnic cleansing of Christian Nigerians. One does not negate the other. What we can conclude from this is that there is definitely an Islamist problem. Now, one thing that the Nigerian minister is purposely forgetting to put out there is that it's not just Boko Haram, it's also the Fulani militants. Not a lot of people know about the Fulani militants. The Fulani Islamists are also the ones who are generally targeting the Christian Nigerians, especially in the Plateau Belt. And I've had several Nigerian Christians come on and speak about this. In fact, I have seen videos where you have the Fulani militants, on their motorcycles with machetes. They're driving through various towns, and you have the Nigerian military who's supposed to prevent them from going. They're getting orders to stand down and allow the Fulani militants to go through. Again, Pierce, the loss of life is horrible. But as you can tell from the minister, he's avoiding questions. He's avoiding eye contact. Instead of actually answering the questions, he's focusing more on trying to attack me and trying to, go after me because I'm not as familiar with the Constitution. I don't need to be familiar with the Constitution of Nigeria to understand that, over 50,000 Christians have been murdered since 2009. I don't have to be familiar with the Constitution of Nigeria to know that when someone yells Allahu Akbar before they massacre 200 Christians and burn Christian churches, that's not just banditry, that's jihad. And I think the reason that the foreign minister does not want to admit this is because they are somehow complicit in this. And, he is purposely saying that he is willfully ignorant, because how could the Nigerian government not know if those people who have been murdered are Christian or Muslim? The reason that he's avoiding saying that is because if they actually put out formal numbers about the numbers of Christians targeted and murdered, then they will have to admit that there was a genocide. They don't want to admit that there's a genocide, but that's exactly what's happening, and I'm glad President Trump and others are calling it out.
Foreign Minister, finally, your response to that.
Well, like I said, the lady and people like her trade in starting wars in faraway places where they have no contacts, they have no understanding of, and they can do that from their armchairs from a safe distance. It's a real life situation. This lady would not know the difference between a Fulani man, a Tiv man, an Igbo man, if they stood in front of her. But you can see clearly overnight, because it pays, she's probably making money out of it.
I'm getting $0 for this. I'm getting paid zero. I'm getting paid zero for this. I have been speaking out against human rights violations. Listen, Pierce, as you can tell, he's not able to actually answer anything that I'm saying. All he does is just attack me and attack my credibility. So I think this shows the viewers exactly where the Nigerian government is.
She's going to keep on insisting that he has not heard the figures. So that's what she's trying to do. Start a war. They want to break up Nigeria the same way they broke up Sudan, and now they've run away. She's not talking about Sudan anymore. She's not talking about South Sudan.
I actually have talked about Sudan in other episodes as well.
For Sudan to be dismembered. This is what they do. What they try to do to Africa. Nigeria is the largest country on the African continent. It is the largest shock absorber to the African continent in terms of admitting migrants, in terms of freedom of religion. It's Africa's largest democracy. But people like you, who don't really care about freedoms, about the freedoms of either Christians or Muslims or Africans, will continue to agitate for the breakup of Nigeria, for war, the same way that it's happening in South Sudan, and you've kept mum because you've moved on.
The reason that I know that you are working with the Islamic Republic of Iran is because the Islamic Republic puts out the same narrative about balkanization. That balkanization narrative is something that the Islamists constantly use.
That Africans are losing their lives. You, it's just another black country to be broken up. You don't care who dies.
Your hands are the one that's covered in blood, not mine.
But we've seen you.
Not mine. I'm not denying the Christian genocide, but you are.
It's not going to happen to Nigeria.
Shame on you.
Move on to your next project. Move on to your next, your disgrace to the Canadian nation. I'm shocked that you say that you actually practice as a politician in Canada. Move on to the next episode. Leave us alone.
Well, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you both very much indeed for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Many people saw his passionate speech beside a shallow grave, some of the victims of this persecution, including President Donald Trump. Well, welcome to you, Reverend. It's good to talk to you. Your words clearly had an impact on President Trump. What do you believe is the reality about the situation in Nigeria with regard to the persecution of Christians?
The word of Trump towards Nigeria is quite marvelous. It is comparable to what the Bible says, as Israel was under persecution in Egypt, when there comes another Pharaoh that did not know Joseph. The Israelites went into deep crisis. Their labor was double. It was double to the stage. God allowed this thing to happen to the state that they have to cry. When they cry out, Exodus chapter 3 verse 7 came up. God decided to say, it is time, let us go down. I've heard the cry of my people, and let us show concern. Depends on different interpretation of the Bible. But one version says, let us show concern. I have concern for my people in Egypt. I've heard their cry. Let me go down and deliver them from the Egyptian, from slavery. It is same thing with us in Nigeria. All Nigerian Christians have been in bondage right from 2021. In fact, it is a stage that they have, the Islamic terrorists have vowed that Christians should never lead them. 2021, there was organized massacre that cut across every place in the nation, Nigeria. But the media here are downplaying things for themselves. And this is where we are in trouble. I've performed several genocide burials, more than 70 times. Imagine some of the graves are 501 people killed in one night in Dogona Hawa, village named Gebru. The Nigerian government downplayed that one because the Islamic are controlling the government.
So the Nigerian government, if I may just jump in there, the Nigerian government has vehemently denied there is a genocide of Christians in Nigeria. Further, they say a lot of Muslims have also been killed by the likes of Boko Haram for being too moderate, and that therefore the issue of Islamists killing people is not restricted just to Christians, but also to moderate Muslims. What do you say to that?
So let me give you the background of what happened. This is the background with initial fact finding. They created Boko Haram by many that are in hierarchy of the government to remove good luck, who is a Christian. This is what happened. They steer them. They cause riot every village. And the people run away, they were relocated. And their target is to kill the Christian. Because good luck is a Christian. That's why good luck says my blood is not worthy for other people to die. He voluntarily and submit and accept result even before it was finished counting. He knows the danger. Had it been good luck, announce the true result of the election, many Christians in the north will go into the grave. Because it was really declared a jihad. In Borno, they will enter village on Sunday. They will meet people in the church. And they will lock the church building with Christian inside. Anybody that is found outside, they will order him to go in. They lock the church. They put Gatling. They set the church building ablaze. All Christians that were inside, including the pastor, the elders, and everybody, were burned to death. This is a report that they will never tell. They move to other village. They will find people in the church. They will bring them out and separate male and female. And all the men, they will assemble them for slaughtering. They will slaughter all of them, including all the youths and everybody. And for the female, they will select the female for themselves and divide it among themselves. Sexual harassment will take place.
Reverend Dashwood, if I could ask you, if I could ask you, what is your message to Donald Trump? Because he was very moved by your words. What is your message to him?
my message to Donald Trump should never stop what he's doing, because what he's doing is not his own. Showing concern to Nigerian Christian, it tallies with Exodus chapter 3, verse 7. As God showed concern to Egypt, to Israel in Egypt, the Hebrews, so he has to show concern to us. Let me tell you, there's a genocide in Nigeria. And when it comes, it's not going to be at us alone. It's going to help the Muslims. When the Christians in the far north were able to escape to the middle belt, what will they left? You hear them saying Muslims are also killed. By who? By Muslims. Because of set differences. Some were trained in Saudi Arabia. Some were trained in Afghanistan. Some were trained in Iran. All of them have different background of belief. They brought it into Nigeria. After there was no Christian in the close by to kill, the blood of innocent Christians that have killed is fighting them. Then they went into fighting each other. The sect of Izala are fighting the Sunni, fighting the Derika. That's why they'll meet them in the mosque and kill them, chanting Allahu Akbar, because of different belief in Islam. And this thing has not been common. It has been happening right from the time of Muhammad. Jihad. Sometimes at the point it will end up seeing same people of same faith killing each other. Like today, the ISWAP and the Boko Haram were busy killing each other at Lake Chad. It's not a news anymore.
Well, it's clearly it's clearly a serious situation, and it's definitely worthy of more global attention. So, Reverend, thank you very much indeed for joining me. I appreciate it.
That is your foreign minister, Tuggar. Can you imagine what he said? You want to be smarter than everybody. You don't want to accept the fact that results, statistics, data has been people presented, but you want them to believe you without information. It is a shame that you grieved. You don't even know what you are saying. They ask you a question based on Nigeria. You are talking about Sudan, as if we are in Sudan. It is very quick very quick for these people to quickly attack somebody. See the way he attacked the lady. Because of what you said. Yeah, the lady said that you lie, you are lying. The lady said that before. What you said is annoying, knowing fully well that what you said, it is a lie. They ask you, you dismiss or you debunk, you deny the report, the numbers of persons that have been killed so far, the Terrorism release and that have been circulating. You want to correct the figure. Somebody said 50,000 or over 50,000 don't buy. You come. They talk of this thing, they talk of 170 something, over 50,000, you are talking about 118,000 churches, you are talking about how many? The difference is clear now. The difference is clear. If you want to deny something, vehemently deny something, you should say something reasonable, something even closer or something for people to say, okay, who do you now expect people to believe? You? They should believe in you, or they should believe the lady you are attacking. Can you imagine? There's nothing to hide again about. Your denials to this report cannot solve the problem. You need to first of all accept that there is a problem. Then we need to look for a solution. Donald Trump is coming, whether this interview or not. But the whole world knows that you are lying. Do you understand? They are very quick to attack somebody, and this is a problem. They are very fond of doing that. Can you be saying this on national TV? You expect somebody who knows the truth not to react? Not to react? No, this is not. Since they won, they are just playing a defensive match here. Meanwhile, it's even affecting them the more. You guys are shooting yourself. Now we're hearing this on Thursday. Now we know the latest, what Donald Trump what they come up with after the hearing on Thursday. So that's when we know if this your denial is going to, if it have any effect concerning Donald Trump's action or what other persons are reported. Now the can has accepted. They say there is Christian genocide. They want Donald Trump to come help us. You listen to Pierre Morgan now. Pierre Morgan, what he said, that Donald Trump is really amazed with what this man is doing. All his video caught Donald Trump's attention. The reason why they have to act. You listen to what he said, and this man has become the hero for what he's doing. We're seeing him in different locations, different villages where they bury people, the monument, everything. You are denying. Somebody said a day, they buy over 500 something. You are talking about, if you say, in fact, this man, you just annoy me now. You just changed my mood with this interview, Seth. You just changed my mood. You say a Benue State governor is a Christian, is a reverend for that matter. If there's Christian genocide, he should have said that one that have been crying for help. A state where they kill over 200 a day, and your figure you even gave now is not even up to the numbers that they buy in one night in Benue State. Yet you say he's a reverend father there. You deny all this. Your denial cannot solve the problem. This is my problem with these people. We need to first of all accept the fact that we have a problem. Then we look for solution. We have a problem, and these people cannot solve the problem. We need external hands to assist in tackling this insecurity. Do you understand? Somebody that at this time you are still denying there is no Christian genocide. You know, I've said this from day one when this issue started, when you have been following me. For the minds of APC, if they able to deny, do everything, they said there is no Christian genocide. If Donald Trump, that's a report, after a report gets back to Donald Trump, after the hearing on Thursday and everything, they said there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. That means the problem in Nigeria is solved. There's no problem. That's it. And that is what these people are doing, the APC are doing. Just to say, okay, they want the US or everybody to agree with APC that there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. Then, when the whole world is accepted that there is no Christian genocide, for their mind, the problem of Nigeria is solved. Do you understand? Meanwhile, there's a lot of problems. Insecurity, Christian genocide, they are still killing day by day. You would have thought, since that day Donald Trump issued this statement, with this warning, you would have thought these people would be humbled enough to cut these their bulldogs to order to make sure they never strike again, they never kill again. Let these, let these issues die down first. But yet, they are not able to speak to these, they are mad dogs, these, they are terrorists that they are using to terrorize the country. They are still striking. Yesterday, they see kidnap. This one did this and that. They kidnap those girls in school again. So you say, there is no problem in your country? No, you must be a liar. You're a joker. That's what the lady calls you, a liar. And we know you guys for this. And it's not helping it's not helping matters. You can't continue lying at every time. No. This is annoying. Anyways, what do you think? Please leave your honest opinion. Comment here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel.